This is a special meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission, Monday, May 9th, 2022, and we will start the meeting at 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would ask the mayor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting is called for the to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with the North Florida Pyrotechnic in an amount of not to exceed $25,000. And I would ask the city manager to make your comments now.
Thank you, Chairman. We had an opportunity after the situation developed with Santori to go back to the 4th of July as directed by the commission. And so we received a couple of proposals, one from an operator in Tampa and another one that was more local, I think Green Cove Springs. And basically, I don't think I get any style points for, how this all happened, but mistakes happen. And once you fumble the football, you figure out a way to get to the bottom of the pile and make it right. So that's what we've done. And we've got a couple of proposals in front of us. We've vetted those proposals. And the one that we feel the best about is the North Florida Pyrotechnics group out of Green Cove. Now, I'll say this, that this is our first time with this vendor. And like any vendor that we don't have any experience with, the answer is I'm not sure. But they have a track record. They have a company that has done fireworks displays before. They provided the information, and Ryan is here. Ryan Allen, the operator, and the person that carries the license and all insurance and all that is here. And the bottom line is, if you were to authorize me to proceed, the amount would be less, $25,000 or less. And then, of course, we would have to work out the details with the contract. We sent them we sent both of the proposers a copy of the Santori contract so they had an idea of what we were used to and what we had done before and what we had contracted with before. And so he has seen that document and understands that, the final contract itself would look very similar. I've spoken to the city attorney, and he said if you authorize us to move forward, that he could have that contract put together and back in front of you in draft in very short order. And basically what we're asking for today is the authorization to proceed along those lines, lock down the date, lock down the provider, and then work the details out in the contract. So that's my proposal. And if you would like to ask any questions of the vendor, he is here, and I'll leave it at that. Okay,
Ryan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, would you post a vote? We need your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Ryan Allen. Address is 805 Arthur Moore Drive, Green Cove Springs, Florida.
Okay, Commissioners, Mayor, if you have any questions at this time, Ryan, go ahead.
Ryan, have you worked with cities before? Have you done any city?
Yes, several. So we have a show coming up really soon for Memorial Day in Green Cove Springs, and it is called River Fest. Okay. That one will be on the 31st, which is Memorial Day. 30th, 31st, I can't remember.
30th.
30th. We're also doing the Blue Crab Festival in Palatka, which will be on the 28th. So yes, we have. We work with the city of Nocatee, and we have for the past 4 years. That's in St. Johns County. We've done that show on July 4th. This year has been kind of different. We usually do a church show on July the 4th, but because of the way the weekend fell, we were able to move that show to Sunday to accommodate. So what you see is what you get. It will be myself, and it will be 3 shooters, 3 helpers to load in the show. Our semi will arrive that early that morning with the product on it, and we'll get to work on it if approved.
So you're going to set it up that day or the day
Yeah,
before?
we're going to set it up. We can set it up the day before or the day of, whichever. Obviously, we have to shut the pier down, so we'll have to coordinate with that. I've walked on the pier 2 or 3 times, and I've looked at the restaurant. I actually ate at the restaurant today, and I asked a bunch of questions of them, and they say they normally shut the restaurant down as well.
Well, I think that I would personally leave it up to the city manager, excuse me, and our police department to determine the security of that, because we certainly don't want anyone going out on the pier or anything like
Sure,
that if it
absolutely.
was left overnight. But I think we can probably handle that. That seems pretty minor.
So, Ryan, how long have you been in business?
6 years.
6 years? Okay.
I've had my federal license for 5 of those 6 years.
Okay, and
So-
you are the owner under
am.
the name North Florida Pyrotechnics?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay.
And what you see, like I said, what you see is what you get. It'll be me firing the show, and I have 3 helpers that will be helping me with it. So nowhere near the size of what Santori Brothers are. They are a nationwide company. I stumble on the same problems that they're having as well, the product issues and the help. But I'm much smaller, so I feel it much less.
Okay. It was brought to our attention, or at least my attention, that the legal name of the company, North Florida Pyrotechnics, is not a business listed with Florida's Department of State Division of Corporations.
It is a DBA. So it is a DBA of Island Outdoor Management Incorporated, which is the name of my company. I actually have 2 DBAs. One of them is called Wholesale Fireworks Direct.
Okay.
And the other one is North Florida Pyrotechnics.
Okay, and your website is the?
Yes.
Okay.
nfpyro.com, which is getting a facelift. So you might see it on and off.
Okay.
In
I'm on my 5th
memo-
revision.
In my memo, there's a website address. It's
Right.
www.wholesalefireworks.
Directs.
Right, but when you go to that website, it's nothing but
It's
sales of
sales, right.
fireworks.
That is sales of fireworks.
Right.
And that is what I did while all this COVID shutdown was, is we sold fireworks.
All right, it might be a good idea if you have pictures of the shows you've
do.
done to
Videos.
post them so that people know you do.
Could you send us some videos?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Lots of
that
them.
would be good.
Just
Okay.
send us a couple.
Sure.
All right, I'm very familiar with Nocatee because I was in St. Johns County prior to
stuff.
coming here. Do you have a name that you could give us as a contact?
I do. And I believe you have that, but I'll send it again if needed. I have several. The Nocatee, the CDD board is who I
Right.
work with. So I've been working with them a long time, and I'll forward that information on. You can
Okay,
speak with
I
them.
appreciate it.
And have lots of videos of that show as well.
All right, good.
So, and then I just have one last question. Your liability insurance, what dollar amount?
So right now I have $2 million.
$2 million?
I do have a $5 million DOT policy that is required by the state. So I normally carry $2 million for our general liability. But for this one, on occasion, we'll have events that do require more. So what we do is we get a single event, we'll call it policy. So I've already spoken, on my way down here, I spoke with my insurance agent who is in California, so sometimes she's hard to get a hold of, but I'm going to apply for a single use permit.
For that day?
Or for that day, or for insurance policy for that day.
Okay. Okay, and Penny, do you have history on life insurance policies that we've required before? No, that's fine. Do we have history of what Santori was providing in the way of liability insurance?
Yes, I have it in front of me.
You have, oh, okay.
And it's, his policy underwriter is Lloyd's of London, so I think that's pretty good.
Perfect. Okay.
That's who underwrites all
Okay,
of them.
that's the only questions I have for now. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure you're an honest person, but I'm sure that you're going to provide copies of all your policies and everything to the city.
We got it today. William sent it to us.
And it is $2 million. So like I said, we're going to have to fulfill that. If you want a $5 million policy, I'll just get a single event policy.
Yeah, it's $2 million.
And I did want to say, I don't want to just do this once. I want to be your fireworks guy from now on. So I got to make this right, and I'm going to make it right. So got a lot riding on this.
Mr. Cooley?
All right, just for clarity, this agenda item is for y'all to get a contract drafted to then bring back to us.
Yep. you want to go forward or not. Well, I'm trying to get it locked in because I'm sure he has a lot of other people out there asking him about the 4th of July.
Right, and your goal will be to bring that contract back for the upcoming
As
meeting?
soon as I possibly can. If it's not ready Thursday, it'll be ready shortly after.
Okay.
So we still have one more shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because obviously it's in our best interest. We need to take a look at the contract and make sure we
Yeah.
have everything. There was, the provider stated that they wanted a guard at the pier and for there to be dedicated coverage to keep people out of the fallout area. Is that something that we have the manpower to do?
I think so. I mean, that's just, we will have people there. We have ocean rescue people. I mean, we can keep people off the pier.
The only other thing I got is, and this might be something that it's not tied to, and I don't want to open up a can of worms in this meeting, but it is indirectly tied to this item, and that is our ad hoc committee recommendations that we have yet to have good conversation about. And now is probably not the time or place for it, but we do need to very shortly, I'm assuming we got to really start talking about these recommendations. Because if we're going to get in a contract for fireworks, we also need to make sure that we are providing an attraction and we're asking people to come here. We need to make sure that this is going to be a safe environment. We have the capabilities to do that. So they kind of go hand in hand in a way, I would think. But as far as the contract goes, is that something you think that we could get on next meeting or into next meeting? Are you all interested in talking about that?
Well, before I answer that one, I know that there have been meetings that the two chiefs have been involved in with the county and all the other people that we usually use. And Matt, can you come up for a minute? Or Bobby, one of you? Both of you. The question is, are there more of those meetings coming? Is there more for us yet to learn?
There's, the next planning meeting is May 25th, 10 o'clock at the EOC. Is the next planning meeting?
Yeah, so I was going to suggest that at your commission meeting on the 26th of May, we can provide you an update.
Okay. Do you think there'll be more meetings after that?
There'll be at least one more, if
One more.
not two, depending upon what the commission decides. We need to come up with a firm date so I can, let the folks that I'm requesting assistance know exactly which day to be here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're trying to lock down the plan.
And I'm sure the same is for Chief Pace. Is it the 2nd? Is it the 4th? Or we can't vacillate between the days, so you just need to come up with a date.
Okay. Thank you, both of them. So I think if we can get an update at the next meeting, then maybe after that, we set a meeting to talk about what you want to
Right.
talk
It
about.
sounds like we need to, and I thought we covered that last meeting, but get a date locked in for Chief. So,
Didn't we decide it was the 4th?
Yeah, what you decided was to try and lock down July 4th. The missing data was where we're going to have fireworks. So that's why this is coming forward now. Now that if you decide to do this, then we can begin to roll out the rest of the plan and put the pieces together.
So then I guess we're all in agreement that it is the 4th.
Yes.
That's what was
Correct.
directed.
That's what we.
That we were pretty
And that's why
adamant
this is
about
All right.
that.
in
I
front of
thought.
So I guess that shouldn't be part of we should all agree that it's the 4th. That's what we're moving forward with.
That's what I understood.
Okay, Mayor?
Yes, I have a question. We have here the guidelines set by both companies, Special FX Wizard and then also North Florida Pyrotechnics. There's a difference in safety measures from each company, and I was seeing which falls more in line of what Santori had
It's
previously.
the proposal in front of you from North Florida Pyrotechnics.
Yes, but I had seen that one company had asked for a vessel in the water.
That's not happening because
Was that
it's-
something that we had had previously during
No.
fireworks?
No.
Okay,
The one that is closest to Santori is the one
Okay.
that's on this contract. that was one of the reasons the other option was ruled out, was because of that, and because of the clear zone was larger, and because of the price. So those, because they, hadn't done this before, and they were coming all the way from Tampa, they were asking for certain things, which were reasonable, but at the end of the day, we felt more comfortable with this proposal.
Well, in Tampa Bay, I could see having a boat out there, but in the ocean,
That brings
not
a
so
different
much.
challenge. I would say in the event that there are vessels that are docked out in the fallout zone outside of the dock, that a vessel, some kind of safety vessel to keep them away would be necessary. But it doesn't sound like you've ever had that issue before. So I would say that's where
It's pretty hard to anchor in the ocean.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I just had one. So the storing of the ordinance, is the day before, is that, the day of, is that going to cause any issues operationally? What time were they planning to drop those ordinances off if we, go forward with having the ordinance dropped off on July 4th?
It's weather dependent, and we'll work those details out with the provider. Keep them in the truck till we need them.
Any other comments?
We had a citizen submit multiple emails on questions. I think we touched on
I think-
most of them.
just checked.
Was there any pending things that we had left from those emails that we needed to clean up?
Not that I recall. I mean,
I'm
the
just
insurance
looking
was one of the big ones, and those issues have been cleared up. Obviously, we have to put that in writing in the contract, but,
Well, one question was, you've told us now other events that you've done, which we didn't know about before. And the question was, were there any claims or mishaps at any of those events?
Never. I don't want to start. I'm knocking on wood. Never had any kind of claim. Just remember, you are dealing with very dangerous explosives, and things do happen, but I have never had anything happen. Not once. If you follow safety guidelines and NFPA guidelines, you're pretty safe with this stuff. We've been doing it for hundreds of years.
Okay, our recreation director recently told me about a guy that works for Santori that's missing 2 fingers.
I'm sure he's not the only one I've met.
let us see your hands.
I have all my fingers. So far, so good. But I wanted to add, these shows are shot with some really sophisticated electronics. And as time goes on, these electronics get more and more sophisticated and get not only more user-friendly, but they also get safer. Most of them have a crew-safe function on them. The electronics I'm using is made by a company called Cobra Electronics, and they're very popular. Most all the fireworks companies use them. It's very widely available, and it's very, very safe.
So one last question, how long is your show? Is it 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
You're wanting 20 minutes of fireworks.
20 minutes, okay.
That's all. It's a lot of fireworks. We're going to eat up a lot of that.
5,000 shots.
Yeah, it's a lot. We're going to mix
gonna
this
count
show. You're going to count them. You have a clicker. 1, 2. We're going to mix this. We're going to mix a lot of product from a company called Pyro Spectaculars. I'm going to leave with you a pamphlet today with a lot of the effects that they have. And there's videos of these effects. A lot of the show is going to be shot with that. The finale of this show is going to be shot with all very large caliber shells, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch. And I'm pretty sure if the wind will cooperate, we can get some 6-inch shells for the finale. That's all dependent upon the wind. I know Santori's done it many a times, and I've looked, the videos are scarce. I've had a hard time finding them, but I know they have used, or they've at least permitted 6-inch shells for the finale of the show.
Ask the citizens, they have them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm hoping we can dig on up. I would just like to see it. So just for comparison purposes. But yes, the show is 20 minutes.
Okay, if we don't have any additional comments or questions, I'm going to open it up for public comment. Name and address. Scott.
Scott W. Spradley. I live on Yorkshire Drive in Flagler Beach. I have circulated some concerns that I have, but most of my concerns have to do with insufficient information. And I still feel there's insufficient information. I think the contract will help out with some of these things, but I haven't seen a contract. I don't know, it sounds like the commissioners have not either. But for example, we're hearing about insurance policy, but who is the insured? Who is the
This gentleman here and the city.
The city is the secondary insured.
Okay, but who is the applicant for insurance? I mean, you needn't answer
This
right
is
now,
the
but,
certificate here.
and I'll tell you why I ask. We've heard from Mr. Allen that this company has been in business for 5 years, 6 years. And we're talking about North Florida Pyrotechnics. Well, North Florida Pyrotechnics is a DBA that was created February 8, 2022.
Correct. That is very correct.
So it's not a business. It's a name used by another business. So we keep talking about North Florida Pyrotechnics. Who is the business the city will be contracting with?
On the insurance that we were given by Mr. Whitson, the insured is Island Outdoor Management Incorporated, DBA Wholesale Fireworks Direct, DBA North Florida Pyrotechnics.
Okay, see, that's more information. That's different. The letter that Mr. Allen sent to the city is on North Florida Pyrotechnics letterhead. It talks all about that, but that's not a company. So those are the kinds of questions that I have, is who is it you're going to be contracting with? Who has insurance? What is the history? I know that Mr. Allen's, when asked what are some of the history, he mentioned Green Cove Springs and Riverfest, but that's upcoming, I believe. And Palatka, Blue Crab, but that's upcoming. I mean, if he's done them in the past, it didn't come clear to me. But it just seems like we're still in the information gathering process. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott. That's why we have attorneys.
That's why we're here.
That's why I'm asking for authorization to proceed with all those details. I don't have them yet.
Okay. All right, so as we move forward, Scott, we'll make sure that we receive all of this, and I appreciate your comments. Anyone else like to address the commission? Nope. Okay, we'll bring it back to the board here. Okay. Any other discussion? If not, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion. Drew's not here to help. That we authorize the city manager I don't want to say enter into a contract yet, because we haven't seen it.
Draft a contract.
To draft the contract
Yeah.
with with Island Outdoor Management in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for the 4th of July fireworks. Does that give you what you need?
It gives me what I need, if that's the will of the commission.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, excuse me, Penny, would you please call a roll?
Commissioner Sherman?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley?
Yes, the motion.
Chair Bryan?
Yes. And the motion passes unanimously. And that concludes our special meeting today.
All right. Just so you know, we'll pull this together as fast as possible and get it back out to you. And we have a couple of opportunities to, finalize it.
Okay, before I adjourn, police chief has a question.
Just so we're clear, we are still going to have the parade on the 4th, correct? Correct. Just so I touch base with the leadership from the Rotary Club. They obviously want to do the parade. They're excited about it. They just wanted to lock in a date so they could start working on it.
Everything related to the 4th is on the 4th.
Yep.
I think as they're
Just wanted to put it on the record. It's on the
received.
under the assumption we'll proceed just as we have in the past.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we're adjourned.
What's up, P? What's up, Carla?
That wasn't, I thought we were going to have fireworks about the fireworks.
Yeah. Well, it's forthcoming. Get the contract.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Kids Town Hall agenda and meeting. If I could ask the mayor to lead us in the pledge. Thanks.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're welcome. All right, we have a small crowd tonight, but we have there's copies of the agenda in the side next to the wall. And then number 3 on the agenda was a question and answer session. If anyone has any questions on what is the job of a city anyway? Did anyone have any questions? Did you have any questions on what you wonder what we do?
I think P had some questions.
Well, for just a little bit of knowledge, each one of us here, we have a role. I'm the mayor. My job is to be the liaison. I'm talking to you.
That's a big word.
Between the residents, which is you, and the city. So we can bring your ideas and thoughts and concerns, like you are tonight, and we can discuss them here as a body and find a solution or an answer to make things right for you. And then would you like to talk about the role of a commissioner?
So maybe the other commissioners may want to help me here. But we vote on ordinances and approve different things here in the city, rules, and approve budget, the money that, is how the money's spent here in town.
Piggy bank.
And yes, thank you.
So, and we also we're all elected officials. So your mommies and daddies vote for commissioners and mayor every year.
And I am the chairman of the commission, and I was elected by my fellow commissioners this year. So each year, we will select another commissioner to be the chairman to basically head up the meeting, lead the meeting, call people up to the podium to speak. So I try to maintain order.
Almost like he has the talking stick.
Okay, what else do we do? Okay, we have a city vision statement over there that I can't read at this angle, but part of what we have to do is make sure that we meet all that about safety and keeping the environment the way it's supposed to be and whatever else it says up there. So that's part of what we do as well. Yes, we do ordinances, but included in those, well, we hope included in those are the things that fulfill our vision of what the city should do. We just had a day-long strategic planning meeting, and okay. Did you hear me? I was a teacher, so I kind of.
I was too. An ordinance is like a law.
Yeah.
It's like the rules in your school. So we established some of the rules in the city for people to follow to try to keep order and keep things nice and neat. For example, we passed an ordinance last year on litter and waste. So what that is, it's a law that tells people it's against the law, against the rules to throw litter and cigarette butts and things like that on the street. And if you do that and you get caught, there's a fine that can be imposed. So you would have to pay the city a fine because those individuals were trashing up or littering. So that's probably a good ordinance there and a good law.
Okay, I'll leave whatever else to you.
That doesn't leave much. So there are some folks out there that probably wonder, why is there so many people up here? And the answer to that is it's important to have different thoughts and opinions on topics. And when you have just one person trying to come up with all the rules, especially as a kid, you might find that the rule that one person comes up with doesn't really suit you. And so we want to have a diverse group of folks that represent all kinds of different interests, that have all kinds of different backgrounds, and then collectively we can put our heads together and try to decide on what we think as a group is really the best thing to do on a particular topic. And we don't always agree, and nor should we. When you have a group of people that make laws, if they always agree, that's never good. Because then you end up getting what's called groupthink, and things happen that are not necessarily beneficial to y'all, because they might not be thinking about things that, you guys, even, kids to parents, they have two different vantage points, and it's important to have both of those. And we all know who wins in the end. But there's a lot of times that, and the whole reason why we're having the town hall is because kids a lot of times have really good ideas. And even as a parent, you might think you know everything, and then something will get said where you're like, I don't like you saying that, but it makes sense. And it's good. And that's why we want to hear from everybody. And this time, it's time to hear from the kids.
Yeah, we actually had a kid come forward not too long ago and wanted us to get more involved with recycling glass. And we actually had that kid very much involved, and it was helped to provide some influence on us, where we actually purchased a glass recycling machine. So we had to decide as a body to buy that big machine and for our staff to actually operate it. So what we're doing now is we're actually recycling glass. So glass is going into this big machine and being ground up into a mulch type product that can be used for decorative type things. So that particular kid had a lot of influence, and we actually had that kid speaking at the ribbon cutting for our
13-year-old kid.
so maybe next year it'll be that little guy sitting there. The other thing that we do is we're like, they call us legislators, because we make the rules, or we kind of write them and kind of guide the city manager, because that guy there works for all of us. You're talking about being confusing. He has a lot of bosses. So he works for us, and we give direction, and then he carries those duties out with all the people in the city that works for him, like the police
Like
chief,
this
the
guy.
fire department.
And that guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the hierarchy, if you will, going down the line there.
So, would you like to come up to the podium? I know that you had something that you wanted to bring in front of the city. Your mom has reached out to me a couple times. So it's your turn. Yeah, here, let's get him a chair. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tell him your name.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I
Hi.
Hi.
He had a whole thing written out.
love you, Jesus.
Very good.
Yeah.
You say you want.
What?
Say, I would like
Like
a nice
it's a nice
playground
playground
to play with my friends
with my friends.
and something with mulch and
Mulch.
that's clean
Thing.
and that we can have fun together.
Together.
Right? And what's your name?
This is a piece of some playground.
And you want a nice playground.
Yeah.
What else do you want? Basketball net?
Yeah.
Say basketball nets.
Basketball net.
And a nicer volleyball court.
Ball.
Because he finds some things in the sand.
Set.
Right?
Right?
So do you go down the slide when you're at the park?
Yeah.
Do you think that we need a new slide, or do you think that the current slide that we have is okay?
Or a slide cake.
The slide's okay. But
Slide's
maybe
okay.
nicer swings and baby ones for your baby friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And mulch.
And mulch.
And mulch.
And mulch.
Do you wear your shoes when you're at the park, or do you run around barefoot?
Yeah.
Do you wear shoes?
You'll get
Do you wear
splinters.
shoes?
Here.
Yeah.
Look down to make sure.
So we have a nicer park on your list with mulch,
Mulch.
and you want a basketball net
Net.
and a nicer volleyball court. Now, do you play volleyball?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Are you do your friends play volleyball with you?
Yeah.
You do. Which are you better at, volleyball or basketball?
Or
Basketball.
basketball.
Okay.
With your Gator basketball?
I'll go get basketball.
Can you tell them thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
How old are you?
Listen.
How old are you?
How old are you?
Jason.
Okay, yeah, but how old are you?
Jason.
How old are you?
3.
You're 3.
3?
3?
3?
Wow. I thought
Wow.
he's a big guy.
He is very big.
It looks like the future Speaker of the House.
Right? Thank you for listening.
Now, is there any, while we have you up here, so that was about the parks. Do you have anything that you want to have cleaned up with the environment, which is like the beach or the intercoastal? Do you see anything that we could work on?
I'll work on.
What can you
Yeah.
work on? So we like to go to the boat dock.
Book that.
What would you make better?
Maybe plant some flowers.
With some fires.
Okay.
Okay.
What else?
I
We like the picnic table.
like a picnic market tables.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, is it safe? Do you feel safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we have safety as a big check mark.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, can you say thank you?
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. All right, ready?
Jason, do you like ice cream too?
Now, that was a little girl that just melted into the background. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you so much for speaking. I'm one of the commissioners that's tasked with redoing some of our parks. And so our number one park we're looking at is Wickline Park over by the building department. So thank you so much for your input. We really appreciate it. So in August, we're going to be looking for some grant money to help us redo the park, and mulch and redoing of all the equipment is on the top of the list. It's on the top of the list.
And a basketball net.
And a basketball net.
Maybe we can do that before summer. That's an easy one.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
We would love to be a part of it too. If there's a community like impact.
We do. We actually have a committee put together of residents, and so I'll get your information before we leave tonight.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Home Depot has more.
Yeah, Commissioner Phillips had a committee a while back. It's the same group.
Yeah.
I was able to attend a part of a meeting that they had, and so they met at the park and looked at what was there and talked about what could be different. And then they went to a local restaurant that provided sodas and stuff for the kids, and she had drawing paper and the kids drew. Yeah, it was, as a retired teacher, I liked that part of it the best.
Yeah, we're actually
watching the kids.
exactly,
Yeah.
we're actually gonna frame the drawings. We asked the children to draw their ideal park as well as name the park, what their name would like to be.
Yeah.
So, word fairy
that was
came
a
up a
really
lot.
cool
I don't know,
day that
Fairy
you-
and unicorn came up a lot.
I like unicorns.
All right, well, Penelope melted into the background, but Penelope, you always have a lot of really good ideas.
Hey, why don't you come sit up here?
Why don't you come sit in this extra chair here next to Chief and you can talk into the mic? Or your mom can always spit out your good ideas for you.
We have a couple. Well, I think it was, can we start a task force of citizens to hand out litter tickets? Be deputized by the chief.
We taking notes?
I am.
Okay,
Well, we
put that
could-
on the list.
I have an idea.
Go ahead.
I think it would be, that would be great. We would have the kids issuing, not real citations, but something to just say, this is a reminder you should be using the picking up litter or something like that. I mean, just kind of encouraging the kids to go out
Point
there.
out the cigarette butt holders.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of a little group out there saying,
Yeah, seriously, one of the ideas that I'd like to bring forward as a serious proposal sometime in this budget or the next budget cycle is to create an ambassadors program. And it would work much like they have in Savannah, where we have citizens that are in clearly marked vests go around and talk with our visitors, and I don't know if they would issue tickets, but they would encourage people to do the right thing and let them know how damaging this type of activity is, and, suggest that they go, if they have questions about restaurants or shops or things like this. I mean, we could engage people in a way that would encourage them to come back and be on their best behavior.
Good idea.
Carlin P., you have anything else that you want to add on?
P, you can whisper it to us too.
We're actually really nice.
She said that when she's surfing and they're within their 50-foot marker, sometimes the fishermen seem to cast out further, and can they perhaps maybe be dropping their lines by the pier instead of needing to cast out quite far and then causing issues?
So one of the things that Tom and I are working on is we are working with the Coast Guard right now to get a buoy marker legally placed in the water so that the surfers know what the line is. It's 150 feet. And then that the fishermen know not to be casting out further than that, keeping that area so if we can keep the surfers separated from the fishermen. That's a really good thing. And so we're going to actually be redoing the what I call the football goalpost markers. We're going to be redoing those, making them brighter and newer, and then putting out in the water where the surfers can see it and the fishermen can see it, a buoy. So we're going to work on that for this summer if we can. It's just the Coast Guard's been notoriously slow in getting back to us.
Penelope shares some mutual friends with a family of ours that went to California and recently came back, and all of the piers in California, they have signs that don't allow the fishermen to cast out. It's drop only, and they're right next to do not feed the birds and do not cast. And that might be a good suggestion for our beach, because I do know that a lot of the children, the younger surfers, even though they are being hit, and a lot of times those lightweight surfers, when there's a tide, they drift into that barrier, and until they can get out of the water and walk out of the 150 mark, they're being hit by a lead weight, and it is a little dangerous. So it might be something that we might want to consider, and then also have that for the new pier as well. You had a question?
As someone that also serves, and as a town that is embracing surfing activities and a world champion surfer, and something that is a really good identity for us to have, the pier also acts as a really good, you actually need to go near the pier on the bigger days because it offers a channel to get out. And so that's why you find the surfers on the bigger days going that close, because they're utilizing that drift and the channel that the pier creates to actually get them out to the lineup, and then they can get out of the way. So, I mean, the pier is helpful to the surfers in helping them get out into the ocean as well. So if you make that 150 feet and then you see them in there, it's not that they're trying to be spiteful, it's that they're utilizing the pier to help them get out into the ocean.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Of course, I'm not a surfer.
No, I mean, you can almost get out without getting your hair wet. And if you were to drift, just feet down, suddenly you're in an impact zone, and it might take you 20, 30 minutes now to get out into the ocean versus using that it's a channel.
I certainly wouldn't want to get my hair wet.
But you're one of those evil fishermen.
Fish on my boat.
Well, a good preventative that would be relatively inexpensive is making some modifications to the cameras on the pier. You could have one on each side going right down the line. And if you can get a buoy placed, there's no confusion about who's where. And when you get into those confrontations that will happen from now into eternity, we will know. It'll all be documented who was where. Although it's never okay. If you have a younger person who's out surfing and gets into the 150-foot area, it is never, ever, ever okay to purposely cast weights at them. Those weights from that distance can punch a hole right through a surfboard. And imagine if it hits somebody in the head.
Well, I think this, I'm not going to prolong it, but, I'm a boater, and I take my boat out of Matanzas Inlet, so sometimes we have some of the same issues with the fishermen, because there's an area where they're not supposed to fish, and the last time I took my boat out before I sold it, I had lines coming inside my boat, and of course I keep my knife there, and I was cutting lines. So they weren't happy. Yeah, they had the lines right there where I go through the inlet. So I had to cut the lines because I didn't want the lines wrapping around my antenna or wrapping around me or any of those. So it's usually a battle, but I think it's something we'll always have to experience. It's education on both sides.
So another thought is, since we have lots of brainstorming going on, environmental protection. Has anyone thought of anything that's outside the box or creative on a way for us to protect our dunes, help with beach erosion, anything of that nature? I'm a big advocate for sand fencing. Anyone want to jump on board?
Tasers.
Yes.
Tasers.
That was the last mayor.
I know of people that have suggested we replace signs that say, please stay off dunes with rattlesnake habitat. That would be very nice.
There was a comment today on Facebook about that. Somebody was talking about the dunes, and one person, I think it was a woman, said, why would anybody want to walk on the dunes anyway? There are rattlesnakes and other unknown creepy crawlies in there.
Yeah, there was actually a dog bitten by a rattlesnake in St. Augustine Beach when I was up there,
Wow.
I mean, it's not a.
Yeah, there are snakes out there.
Well, if that's all we have. Oh, yes.
Everyone else, they're more important. I want to hear what they have to say.
Yes.
I just have a safety one, if that's all right.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
We live on 11th Street. We love Flagler, but sometimes it's scary to take Jason when we're going to the beach, like crossing A1A. I'm sure I'm not the first one to bring that up. But it was just occurred, is there any kind of Flagler Beach, flag that we could purchase just to be hey, we're here. I'm not asking the city to put out money for this, but something we could purchase to say, then people have to know that they have to stop for this green, red, blue Flagler Beach flag just for pedestrian crossing.
There's flags at 10th Street.
Yeah.
They're running on the poles, orange flags.
Yeah.
Just wave those.
And I understand that, and that's cool, but if you're on 15th Street, right, if you walk all the way up to 10th, and I know you don't want to stop people every 5 seconds.
But citizens could purchase something, and we just have it in our beach bag, you know what I mean? And we could just
Caution.
yeah.
I mean, we could do that ourselves, I suppose. It's just
It's if we had to, but it would be nice to.
Is that a Florida law that I know in California 25 years ago, I walked up to the road and the traffic stopped. And it was actually kind of terrifying because I was not even ready to cross the street and there was all these cars waiting for me to make a move. Whereas here, is that a law, when you are pedestrians first?
Well, there's a law, the Florida statute says you have to stop for pedestrian in marked crosswalks.
So it's smart. Yeah,
Right.
With anywhere, if
Right.
you walk to the side of the road, they stop.
And then on the other side of it, there's also pedestrian violations that say you're not supposed to run out in front of moving cars.
Right.
So there will be some major improvements, especially around the pier. Late May, late May, early June. So the yellow flashing light that's been there forever, that's getting replaced. We'll have LEDs in the roadway, overhead lighting that won't affect turtles, the sign will flash. And then in the next 3 to 4 years, DOT is going to be doing a repaving of downtown. So a lot of those improvements, probably between 10th and 10th, you'll see through DOT. So.
It's improved immensely since the speed came down. I mean, 45 miles an hour, you're taking your life into your hands trying to.
And they're still driving.
Yeah, actually,
60.
I didn't, a lot of it is education, so we've been watching crosswalks for probably the last month and a half. Social media, I've been pumping stuff out there. I put one out yesterday about, when you see pedestrians in the crosswalks, let them be. And I had the Beatles on there because it was the 52nd anniversary of the Let It Be album, so try to get a little inventive on stuff, but a lot of it's public education because a lot of people come from states where they don't know what the law is.
And I find that a lot of them are stopping. And it's like, they don't need to, but I appreciate that they are being more like aware and,
Right.
you know, helpful to the pedestrians.
It's kind of like coming down South Daytona Avenue where the bricks are laid down. People will stop because they think it's a stop sign. And there's no stop signs there. So a lot of it's just education. They're not from here.
I think to answer her question, we can give you permission, encourage you to put your own flags out, but I think if it's something that you want to do on your own, you know.
And I understand walking
Yeah.
10th Street, totally get it.
Right. Yeah.
If you're, and I appreciate all of that, but like, if you're down on 20th Street and somebody's going 60, it's just dangerous with kids. I just didn't know if there was something that we could point out, like, hey, we have kids who are trying to cross and go to the beach or something.
No, to Rick's point, the speed limit on the north side of town is, you know, very dangerously high. And as somebody who lives on the north side of town, just trying to cross A1A on the weekend is very sketchy. Because what happens is if they're traveling north, they'll go all the way through town, 25. They get to that 45, yep, and they're doing 70.
And they're passing on double lines. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
They passed me.
And they are flying by the time they hit the block that I live on. And, you try to cross the street, you're carrying a big surfboard in the wind and everything, and, you move as fast as you can, but those cars are flying.
Well,
And it's super unsafe.
Just this weekend, I was told to step back from the road because all it takes is one person reading a text and the mayor's mowed over. But it's hard because in the 45-mile district, you have to kind of peek your head out around the car that's parked to see if you can cross it when you're playing Frogger, essentially, at this point. It would be nice when DOT comes and does a workshop and asks about additional crosswalks, if we can really stress as a community and have community involvement to say, let's work on lowering the entire city.
Chief, I think you had that as an item for that upcoming safety thing, right?
We did. One of the things I requested, and they wanted to wait till after spring break, so I'll have to check with DOT, was to extend the 25 mile an hour, because right now it ends at North 2nd, was to extend it all the way up to 10th Street.
Oh,
So-
let's go to the car wash.
So the 25 mile an hour speed limit, if you think it's bad in the 45, if you reduce that speed up there, it's going to be worse. If you reduce the 45 to 35, they're not going to slow down.
No, they're going to speed
They're just going to pass on the 35.
So I serve on a TPO board, and I actually was speaking to Mr. Whitson about this, and I meet with FDOT monthly, and that's one of the topics I'm going to be bringing up at the next TPO meeting, and maybe even getting a letter drafted up, maybe to kind of help you out a little bit, Chief, there with FDOT, help, whatever we can do, because it is a concern. I too have a 4-year-old, so I get it. I live down on the 19th block, and luckily there it's 25, and I think I'm kind of fortunate there's Oceanside there, so it's typically kind of an attraction. People are stopping there, but there are some other spots around town that I definitely would like to, I think we all kind of are in agreement with that we'd like to get the speed limit down. So it's definitely something I'm trying to plant those seeds on our TPO board that when I get there once a month, I'll definitely be trying to get our voice heard up there about that.
Any other comments, suggestions, improvements for the city?
How would the young lady in the back like to adjourn the meeting when we're ready to adjourn?
That'd be cool.
No? Okay.
Hello, my name is Angela. I'm a 20-year career and technical education teacher with a business plan that I have shared with all of the other boards except you. And tonight's a perfect night to share it with you and give some students some ideas on to contemplate. But I have shared with every board member and including the mayor, David Alphen. Alphen. I have a wonderful SCORE mentor, Tony Flores, who's just been fabulous in helping me network. But my business plan is a 4-day entrepreneurship summer camp for underserved students between the ages of 15 and 25. They would be developing a pitch as a team for a problem solving on a community issue. And the fourth day would be the pitch. And of course, before all of the discussion, I am sitting here realizing what's unique about Flagler Beach, and it's surfing. I mean, that's what really blew me away after moving here. I had no idea. That was just the icing already on top of the icing. It was a great thing. So my camp idea, it should be around surfing. We could really capture the national attention, or at least this side, because I understand that this is the best area for surfing on the East Coast. So I'm now excited about the idea of reinventing my camp idea to focus on the strengths we have here and to build on it. And the foundation for all career pathways is built on hospitality. So I already have connections with hospitality. I can tell you all that boring stuff later. But as hospitality as a basis, we could cover, the parks and recreation through a forestry program. So students interested in forestry maybe could partner with a team for that issue. And then the environmental protection, marine biology, there's so many things, FDOT, we could do so many workshops with these students and fill these needs already in the community. Construction, the students interested in construction, recycling, or like the volleyball court, who wouldn't have fun out there and spending a few hours digging up dirt and making it fun for the students? Giving them a project maybe. This is just one idea off the top of my head that, okay, let's dig some dirt for a half hour, everybody. Now let's take a break and have pizza. Something like that, getting the teamwork and getting them to build those skills and getting a goal done in the community. That's just one idea. I'm going to try to make it short. There's so many things that were talked about tonight. Oh, like the litter tickets. Instead, maybe we could do a program called a litter bug, and it would be the bugs, keep the litter away from me. Something catchy, something fun to build the community, and maybe the tickets, instead of the tickets, to make it a promotional thing of seeing somebody do something good and like highlight that, and the students could hand out awards. Oh, you were safely walking today. So they could be the build of the positive. So I just think these ideas that I came up with tonight and the problems we have in the community, if you give them to students, wow, they can knock your socks off. And I think that's the goal tonight. And I'm really hoping our couple representatives will take it back home and share the idea. One last thing is I would always say as a teacher that, there's very few times in your life that you can really do what you want. Right after you graduate high school, you could, like, I'm from Ohio, so I'd say, you could go work a summer job at Disney. How fun would that be? Why not build a camp here, a 4-day camp or whatever it is, something for the community to get involved with. Like with the hospitality, we know we need hospitality workers. Why not build a streamline for those students?
Mm-hmm.
So I will take any more of your
That's
time.
a great idea.
That's some great ideas.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm hoping
Well, thank you. That's what our community is built on, is a lot of great ideas and people that want to come forward and implement them, so that's fine. We appreciate that. So you can probably send us all a copy of what you're recommending here and suggesting, and
I'd be happy to. I was at the Small Biz Expo, and Kirsten Dunn is putting together all of the videos, so pretty soon I'm going to have a really nice video because she set us all up. So
cool.
I'd be glad to share with you.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, thank you. Okay, any more business from the kids tonight?
Team Vaders, you got something over there?
You're very
welcome.
Thanks for coming out.
Have them sit up here. They'll sit up here.
You want to come up here and sit right here where I am before I adjourn?
Mom can get your picture?
I'll even let you adjourn the meeting.
Oh!
I prepped them up.
Oh! You have to hit the hammer.
And you can sit here.
You want to sit here? Yeah?
You have to sit there.
You want to take a picture?
Yeah.
All right, ready? There you go. Here, you gotta sit up there like you're, okay?
The gavel and say we're adjourned.
Lean up here like you know what you're doing.
Hit it really hard.
Just right there, and then you can hit this and say, meeting adjourned.
Make the jerk.
And then hit it.
Make the jerk.
All right.
Good job.
Way to go, bud.
Thank you.